Good morning again, and return of the native. Terrific appearance by Andrew Sloan in our early morning news review. Andrew had to get back to his barber shop, which is on Market Street, and one of the things that challenges that he's set us as good citizens of Lewis is to name that little quarter down there. It's got the flea market. It's got several little shops. It's got the Patch pub, canteen, restaurant. It's got opticians, all the things in the needle makers. And generally speaking, it's a neat little quarter. And we should really give it some name and let it assume an identity and attract people because of the things that are there. So there you are. He's set a challenge for us, and hopefully we will rise to it. Why not? Keith Hayes, Mirador Television, and now we are Affairs from the Heart, because we are broadcasting from the main bar in the White Hart Hotel, right in the center of Lewis. The White Hart Hotel, considered to be the cradle of American independence, because Tom Paine developed some of his ideas about the rights of man here. And all in all, we are, it's a potpourri of thoughts and ideas, and there's nothing fixed about it. And we've had some real fun this week, and I hope that that'll continue to be. But let's just one of the main headlines this morning, which is causing a bit of controversy, is that a Conservative MP, Lee Anderson, has said the poor can't cook, and of course that's got everybody going about. I suppose really it's the fact he used the word poor, but let's face it, we are creating a new brand of poor. We are making the economy so much an us and them, and that we are now facing shortages. We're facing a rise in the cost of living. We're facing inflation factors. We are facing a whole host of things which are making life much more difficult than it was 6 months ago. And as a consequence, we have to cut our cloth to our economic circumstance. So yes, is the poor, is those people who can't afford to go out into restaurants 2 or 3 times a week, those people who can't afford glitzy foods, and most certainly will now think twice before going to the fast food chains 5 times a week. So he's got it right in that sense. Yes, okay, it's pejorative, I suppose, is saying that people are poor. But basically, he's right. Now, Andrew disagreed with me, and that's the healthy part of this television program, is we accept all views. I mean, as long as they're legal, but we're all news, and it's essential that we keep a lifeline to independence of thought, independence of civilized behavior, anyway. And this is our contribution. This television station is our contribution to doing that. So remember that if you want, you can pop in You can have your say. We're here, but we are here having been knocked about a bit, and a lot of people have been knocked about a bit. This idea of a quarter in Lewes for these smaller stores is not a bad one at all, not a bad one, and could work very nicely. So I hope that Andrew will actually start to get people to start to think what that could become named. Right. Okay. So the poor old Tory is taking a hell of a battering because he says the poor can't cook. Now it's 9:55, and we've only just got cracking on this program because we actually broke our own golden rule, and that is that we went to an extra 5 minutes, actually an extra 10 minutes in the early show because we had a number of things that came up late and we needed to pack in. So we've only been going with this one about 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes. But by the same token, we've swallowed up the whole first half hour. So what we'll do is we'll start to show you some of the stuff that we got prepared. Let's play the little video that Max Hurt, our student, a very bright young man, did. He's 18 now. It was his first effort at doing a little feature. I thought it was very creditable, but it's how people see from outside Lewes. They take a look and they see things differently to those of us who have lived here for a long, long time.
Today, I'm in a small town called Lewes, in the south of England, just a few miles away from Brighton. I will be taking a walk through Lewes and some of the historical sites, which date back over 1,000 years in this show, Hidden in Plain Sight. One of the best things to do in Lewes is explore the streets, as there is lots of historic Twittons to explore and look through. The high street is packed with small and independent shops, and there are plenty of pubs and restaurants to choose from. Lewes Castle was built just after the Norman conquest in 1066. The construction of the castle was started in 1068 and only took 2 years to complete. A war broke out below Lewes Castle, a war between Simon de Montfort, Earl of Leicester, and Henry III in 1264. Lewes is well known for its history, and one of the historical landmarks is a place called the Hart Hotel. Whilst not being so obvious at first sight, it has a significant role to play in American history. Thomas Paine was an English-born American political activist, philosopher, and revolutionary. He authored books called Common Sense in 1776 and The American Crises in 1776 to 1783. Two of the most influential books in American history, and had a major part to play in the start of the American Revolution. And it helped inspire the Americans in 1776 to declare independence from Great Britain. Thomas Paine also wrote a book called The Rights of Man, which is referred to as a cornerstone to modern-day democracy. And it all started in the small town of Lewes, in a room in the White Hart Hotel. But Lewis is not just known for its history, it's also known for its natural beauty. In the Greater Lewis area, there are some beautiful rolling hills and hiking trails that you can just walk through for miles, and whilst on these trails, you can truly appreciate the beauty of the English countryside. The River Ouse is one of the longest rivers in the country and goes through Lewis. It's a beautiful sight to see and is home to many different species of fish. Lewis has so many different trails to choose from. It can take you all through the town, fields and hills. I would personally recommend Down Nature Reserve and the Lewis Downs, as you can stand atop of the hills and see for miles, which is a sight to behold, and when you don't get to see that often. You've been watching Mirador TV, and this show, Hidden in Plain Sight by Max Hurd. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.
Well, there we are. That's the way that a young man saw Lewis. He took his time and he scouted around. And I hope that perhaps that's either says to you, I wonder where that is. I've never been there, or I'd like to take a look at that. But certainly is reflective as we become more and more used to the place that we live, is that the way other people see it is quite different, and that gave us some insight into that. Right, going through the newspapers, Metro can't cook, won't cook. Tories split over the cost of living plan. That's what options Rishi Sunak is faced with, and they're having been absolutely adamant that they weren't going to use a windfall taxes. Now that they're moving slowly towards that as being at least one solution. So there we are. Rishi wants to energy bill. That's in the Daily Mail. The Daily Express, a desperate cry for help we cannot ignore. That's really about the cost of living, where so some people on limited budgets, let's not say poor, on limited budgets, have to make a choice. Basics or have some fun and devil take the hindmost. Well, they're in town today to make fun, so watch out for them. They can get a bit boisterous, but it shows once again the rehabilitative aspects of what we do here is certainly on the way. All right. The Daily Telegraph, UK would help Nordic nations fight the Russians. Now, I can be accused of being a warmonger, but I find that because I've been to a number of these places that are in the middle of where war activity will take place and is taking place, Lugansk, for instance, in eastern Ukraine. I was had fun with that. But we also have to be aware that the little things, funny things, amusing things, the things that are essence of life, have to come into the mix. That's what Mirador tries to do. Yes, we don't take our eye off the, let's say, Ukrainian war ball, but we're always thinking about new things to get everybody excited and involved in the community. And so do try for that. Okay, we now have to decide what we're going to do next. I've forgotten how to. In that very brief moment, I've forgotten how to. Not really. The Daily Telegraph is full of the fact that we would go to the aid of Finland or Sweden, and therefore create the direct conflict that says Putin says that he'll go to war under those circumstances. So we are in a perilous situation. UK troops will defend Scandinavia from Putin. Similar sort of thing, except they don't spend quite a bit as much time on youngsters and what they think. The Guardian is revealed carbon bombs. Basically, the carbon bomb has nothing to do whatsoever with the war in Ukraine. What they're talking about is that because of the energy crisis and so on, is that the gas companies and the electricity companies, the energy companies, have been given the okay to bid on physical things, plants and factories and so on, because without little scrutiny, and because it's desperately needed at the moment. And what the story is saying is, hang on, these are going to be affecting the environment. They're going to affect how people think. They're going to affect us in the future. So, should we be looking at some of these things more critically? Well, we should. There's no question. We should. Going back to the old situation where coal mines, we talk about clean coal, but they're not really. The sun says the bride of a monster. I forget what that story is all about, actually. It's a bit of a misnomer, I think. Oh, right. The killer, Lefty Belfield, who murdered Millie Dowler, is due to have a birthday party, and it's causing all sorts of stink. because they say, oh, she shouldn't have birthday parties and so on and so forth. But also she's planning to get married, and that shocks the purists as well. So
Joy Winger, bottom audio.
We've got some people who are not familiar with the fact that we're on the air at this particular time, trying to get through. And the Daily Star is having a laugh at the wags, this wag thing, which is causing lots of amusement, I suppose, where we're in dreadful peril in many other fronts. Is the wag situation is that there is a lawsuit which started yesterday, I think it was, in which one wag, the wife of Wayne Rooney, and Rebecca Vardy, the wife of Vardy, James Vardy, I think it is, formerly of Leicester. I don't know who the hell he's playing for now. But they having a go at one another. He said, she said, and so on. To the end, he got so vicious, it turned into a libel case. And what the Daily Star says on its front page, wags at war. I tried to leak a story about a footballer, says a footballer's wife, who denies leaking stories on footballers' wives. Well, why not? Why not indeed? And so that's the look at the brief look at the newspaper headlines without taking them too seriously. Let's go to my favourite place. We've been there once this morning. Let's go again. It's only a minute, but by golly, it's a calming minute. My goodness me, I really am getting fed up with this computerized society. It is stopping us talking to one another. It's stopping us understanding each other. It is contributing to the conflict of nations. It is, to say the least, a blight on our governance and a blight on our way of life. Now, don't misunderstand. Of course, computers are essential. Computers are useful. Computers are supportive. Computers take us to places that we never think or thought that we would ever get, all by virtual thinking, using the computer to get photographs and so on of what it's like there. Now, what they are not doing is they are not being used sensibly, particularly by governance and particularly by the retail sector, who actually have just implemented a program and they just leave it. That's the way to save money, isn't it? We don't need people doing these things anymore. So, ho-hum, punch the button and away you go. But we were talking about the fact that in various locations, the computer has done away with everything that it should be contributing to to a civilized society, a caring and sharing society. Yesterday, we had in here, just very briefly, two lovely ladies from Norway, and they had come on a walking tour to take a look at this part of the world. They were off to Rodmell, in fact, yesterday. But one of the things that we really talked about was that the cost of living and these issues are global. There's nowhere that is better than anywhere else in that sense. And if we don't actually realize that village life is totally and terribly important to our substructure, and don't start to make it more attractive for low-income people, right, to live in these places, which is why they were established in the first place, then we are going to be in serious trouble. And quite often, nobody cares much about the reason that villages were villages. But the fact is that the retail sector, the banks, have taken out an ATM machine from almost every village. They have taken out the idea of going for long periods of time talking to people, communing, socializing, even if it was only in talking to somebody in the bank. So banks are closing down their facilities. And we are in a situation where social media, go tell it to the natives, or whatever the saying is. Kids don't read those sort of things anymore. And the big cry is that, my goodness me, look, people have gone to get their news and information and all the rest of it from the computer. That's folly, absolute folly. It's absolute nonsense. Because what they're doing is they are trying hard to ride the systems and not being counterproductive, not making new plays, new events. Oh, there are some. Battle of Lewis is next week. There are some. But generally speaking, a computer is ruining our lives. And it's about time that we did something about it. It's 18 minutes past 10. Now, let's take a look. Because a couple of programs, or let's try this one first, because I just want to hold that for a minute, because one of the great losers from the lockdown, from the pandemic, were the charities. People found different reasons to spend their money, and indeed, money became scarcer. Now, one of the charities that is very prominent in Lewis, you can see the shop, is it's the cancer research shop, right opposite the precinct, right at the bottom of School Hill, for those people who are familiar with Lewis. And those who aren't, I hope I've given a little bit of this is where you'll find it. But one of the ways that it raised money was a lovely lady, Leslie Hills, very talented, and who suffered from cancer, and said, if I survive, then I'm going to devote a lot of my time and energy to those who fight cancer as well. And she would sit daily and paint in the store window, so that people could come and see her painting. And she actually painted famous people and local people, local noteworthies. So that shop was full of portraits of the great and the good. Cancer Research UK dropped £140 million during the pandemic. £140 million. And our equivalent overseas, the international body, dropped even more. And so cancer research was threatened again. Now, Leslie has had a bit of a setback physically, as far as health is concerned, and can't return, at least at the moment, to the front window of the cancer research charity shop in Lewes. She just can't do it. And it's a great loss. But by the same token, she does everything that she can to raise funds for this very worthy charity. And she did it in the way of painting as a sponsored effort various people, and you could actually get your portrait painted for 100 quid. It's a very good deal, actually. But she's now holed up, banged up, and can't. She can't go back into the shop window for the moment, and it's a great pity because this is a charity that needs your help. But here is the first program that we did, and the idea is to take the portraits of Leslie Hills and to take the individual and put a little bit of flesh and bones onto the painting. This program is hosted by a former, let's say, television great. She was a terrific presenter, Annie Verrill, and it goes back to the very first one that we did and how we attempted to get things going. So here you are, Leslie Hills, Action Cancer, a little touch of art, and a look back.
We have a lovely lady in Lewes, quite well known, I would say, Leslie Hills, a cancer survivor. She decided to give back something to the charity that helped her. What does she do? She paints portraits or any of your favorite pictures, a photograph. Every penny she earns, she gives to cancer research. She is a lovely lady. In normal circumstances, you would see her in the window at the cancer research shop. However, you can even send a photograph via email to her and she will paint your portrait or a favorite picture. She does plan on getting back there in the window fairly soon. Our program, Leslie's People, looks at the person in the paintings, so we can find out a little bit more about that person in the portrait. Take a look at our series, Leslie's People, and if you like the idea, if you like the portraits you see in the programs, why not get in touch? She is very much looking forward to your emails. Take a look. It would be a great gift. Well, good morning, Hannah.
Hi.
Thank you for seeing us early morning.
Alright.
What time do you get here?
We normally get here about, well, I get here about 10 to every morning, 10 to 9, set the shop up, ready to open. And yeah, just put the money in the till and you're ready to go. We normally try and get quite prepared the night before, and so there's less to do in the morning because sometimes we have donations on the doorstep and you never know how long that's going to take. But yeah.
Yes, many times I see the bags in front of the door and I thought, oh,
Yes.
all the work that you have to do.
Yeah. Sad. Yeah, a lot of that we aren't able to use if it rains and whatnot.
Oh, yes.
It all gets wet. But yeah, sometimes it's fine. It's fine.
Now, of course, the reason why we're here is the lovely painting, which was painted by Leslie Hills. And I'm pretty sure everyone knows Leslie by now in Lewis. So, when did this happen?
So, Leslie has painted a couple of the other managers that have worked in the shop. And she just came up to me and she didn't have a commission that week or month. And she just said, can I paint you? And I hate having my picture taken. I hate anything to do with that. So I agreed and she did it. So paint out all my floors and make me look nice. And
Oh, no,
she
it's
did
brilliant.
it. She did it, and then we had it in the window for a little bit, which was quite funny. We had it behind the till for a little bit, which was quite funny as well. But yeah, my hair was always changing colours. I think at the time the picture was taken, it was actually, I think, pink or something.
Oh, wow.
But Leslie chose the most like neutral one that I would always have. So I always had a different hair colour back then. But then I shaved my head for cancer research back last September, so September 2019. And that's why I've got different colour hairs.
Wow.
And I did that with my assistant manager at the time as well. We did it out in the high street, the Lewis High Street. With lots of people to see, and we had this huge circle gathered around us, and it was amazing. We raised quite a bit of money, and we did it for children's and young people's cancer. Yeah, which is which is a very one close to my heart. I'm very passionate about the young people's cancer and whatnot, because I think there's a lot less research goes into that. But so we have specific campaigns twice a year for specifically children's and young people's, and we decided to do this big one for that. And yeah, it was amazing. It was really good.
Admirable, I have to say.
Well,
Not many people would do that. You're very brave.
I don't think I'd do it again. I had some very funny hair for a few months, sticking up on ends and coming out all over the place. But it was good though, because we were both then two bald managers, and you could see our hair growing every week, every month, and it was quite fun to watch actually.
Wow.
Seeing both our hair, and yeah, it was lovely. It was really good. It was a good time.
So that's the mystery between the changing hair colour.
Yes.
Different from the painting.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you have to sit for the painting, or was it done from a picture?
No, she took a picture of me upstairs, and she just paints from there. I didn't even know. She just did it whenever she could, and came back a few months later, and
wow,
it was amazing.
It's very, very nice.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing, and yeah, she seems to capture everybody so well, and I've noticed throughout all the pictures that we've seen over the years, because I mean I've been here for 4 years, pretty much the whole time Leslie's been here. She's been here about 5-6 years now, and yeah, when she started to paint in the window, it was such a changing thing. It was amazing because everyone was looking, watching, and our whole window was taken over, and it was amazing. And then you had someone to talk to when you're on the till as well. You got a bit bored. But yeah, it was amazing. She's raised an awful lot of money for cancer research, and it's admirable what she does.
No, it really is. She's very, very dedicated.
Yeah.
And she's the most lovely lady. I can imagine that anybody if they had to sit for a portrait, they'd probably feel very comfortable.
Yeah.
Because she's just so kind and patient and just lovely.
Yeah, I remember actually years ago when I used to come in here before I worked here, she was in the window, and I remember putting down my name for one and my email address and whatnot. And I thought it was that. I thought you had to sit in the window and get it done, because I wanted to get it done for my mum for a Christmas present or something. But it never ended up happening in the end. But yeah, because I thought you had to sit in the window and do it with her. But luckily,
well, that would attract the public.
Absolutely.
Maybe you should get somebody in the window to be painted when Leslie can come back.
Yes, hopefully she can come back soon.
Hopefully.
Yes. yeah, it's amazing to see her pictures come to life. Like it starts off with a sketch, you think, well, that doesn't look like them, and then she gets the paints in and the shadows and the colours, and it's amazing. It's amazing what she does. But
Indeed, yes.
yeah.
Brilliant. You mentioned campaigns earlier. So
Yes.
how many campaigns would you do a year? Is it 2 or more?
So at the moment, we're not able to do that many due to the virus, and our managers doesn't want us going out on the street and collecting either at the moment. But we have, I think it's about 5 or 6 a year. We have the children's and young people's cancer, and we have Stand Up to Cancer twice a year. We have Race for Life. This is the test of my knowledge.
Don't worry if
I
you
believe
don't
that's
remember.
it. Yeah, I believe that's it. And then we just have like just the general fundraising every month anyway. We just try and raise as much as we possibly can, because that cash is 100% profit. So as much as we can get through that, the better. Really, the more research can be done, the more, the more everything.
Yeah, of course, yes.
The closer we can get to the goal.
Yeah.
So.
How about donations during this lockdown situation?
Yeah, is that
Have you got less or more?
donations? At the first time we had an awful lot more. We had it the second we opened, coming through the door.
Wow, I think everybody at home started tidying up and getting rid of things.
Which was amazing. But then after about 3 days, or not even that, a couple of days, we were full. And we couldn't take any more.
Wow.
And we had to leave everything then for 72 hours to quarantine.
Yeah.
And it was a bit more difficult at the beginning, but now we're getting more used to it, and the quarantine rule has been taken out of it now, so everything's getting a bit more back to normal.
A
little bit back to normal, which is good.
That's really good to know.
And then hopefully Leslie can come back in the window soon. That'll be a bit more normal, and everything going back to a bit normal would be what we want, what we need. I think
would be great.
Absolutely.
Soon. Oh,
absolutely.
Something's alive.
Bit of Lego, I think.
So what do you do with the rest of the donations when you're full? Do you send it somewhere else?
No, we just have to stop.
Right.
We just have to stop taking.
Oh, wow.
Normally we wouldn't, if it wasn't during this time. We would just sort of work as hard as we can, be on the floors, everywhere, be everywhere. And we just have to try harder to keep it tidy, because of just health and safety. We don't want anyone tripping up over anything. So it's a lot easier on our half now to be able to say, I'm sorry, could you bring it back Friday? Or we're not going to be able to take today, could you bring it back at the weekend? Or it's a lot easier on us and the volunteers who are coming back, because they do the majority of the sorting, to be honest, of the items. So yeah, it's easier on them, it's less stress, it's less pressure, whereas it's already quite a bit more intense here at the moment.
Yes.
We're all hand washing, surface wiping, wearing gloves, wearing the masks. It's all a lot more anyway. So it's a lot better that we can control the amounts that we get in there. So
that's very helpful for you guys.
absolutely, to do. And so I came here, saw the big advert in the window as I was going to Brighton on the bus with a friend. And it all started from there. I just came in, I met the manager then. About not quite soon after that, I turned 18, and then I applied for there wasn't a manager here at the time, an official manager or assistant manager. And so I applied for the assistant manager role after a few weeks of getting to know the place, getting to know people, and luckily they took me on.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, I didn't know an awful lot back then, and I think they took a leap with me, which I'm very thankful they did, because now I am running the shop and I have an assistant manager myself, and it is fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. And yeah, if they never took that chance on me, I wouldn't be here still. So I'm very glad they did.
Wow. That's a very nice story.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll do the same with someone else.
Yes, I am always keeping my eyes peeled on some of the younger ones as well, because we have quite a few young volunteers now, and Cancer Research offer for us training courses, and the whole team, everyone. So I'm always offering younger ones. Anyone who wants to learn more, I'm like, quick, do a course, come on, do this, because they already know the job. They're fantastic, and there's always jobs all around it, like cancer research managers, assistant managers, Sunday managers, shop manager assistants. There's always opportunity, and I think you have to grasp at it when you see it. Really.
Yes.
And
Sometimes you need someone to nudge you to grasp that
absolutely,
opportunity.
yeah, absolutely, and that's what someone did for me. So I'm always trying to keep an eye out for everyone else as well. But yeah, we have some amazing volunteers, absolutely amazing, and yeah.
Hopefully we'll meet some of your volunteers later on.
Yes, well, I'm trying to think. I think some of them have been painted as well, actually.
We'll get to the
who,
bottom
but
of that.
There are
They
some.
can't escape.
Yeah, there are some who have been painted by Leslie. Sometimes she just does it because she wants to. She's got permission in, so it's even better. But, like, we've got a picture of a volunteer up with my picture up in the shop always. And, yeah, it's quite funny walking up the stairs and just see two faces in front of you. But
it's a great story. It's very, very nice. It's a nice story just before Christmas. So, if you would like to have a wonderful portrait painted, you don't have to sit for it. You can just send in a picture, bring it into the shop, or even online via an email to Leslie. She'd be very, very, very happy to do this for you. So, Hannah, thank you very much.
thank you.
This is great. And let's have Leslie back as soon as we can.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you for reminding me. Otherwise, I would have been rabbiting on and nobody could have heard me. And the beautiful Sally is brought me a cup of coffee, which is absolutely wonderful. She could hear me croaking here. Good morning, Sally.
Good morning. How are you?
Not too bad at all.
Good.
You know, you were here very, very early this morning.
I was.
Yeah. Do you get that sort of slightly haunting feeling of being in a place that is so busy throughout the day, but here you've got the calm of the morning?
Yes, it's not always calm here in the morning, even early, of course, because a lot of guests are leaving for business, so they're doing breakfast at 7 o'clock. So,
Oh, of course.
Yes, it can be quite busy in the morning.
Yeah.
You may be looking after anything between 40 and 50 breakfasts from 7 o'clock, so yes. But
Now,
certainly you get a bit of a haunting feeling sometimes in here, in the middle of the night.
So I'm told, and in the bits and pieces you put out, you say, well, we've got a haunting, but question mark.
Yes. Well,
who haunts?
Well, not everybody likes to hear, of course, that you are a haunted building. We've had a couple of scared guests in the past where we promoted it and they said, "Oh, crikey, can I move to the lodge behind?" So it's not always something guests want to hear. But yeah, we've had lots of sightings, not myself personally, but of the old lady sitting on the seat on the first floor landing.
Ah, right.
Yes, who used to evidently be one of the old barmaids, probably Queenie here, I should think.
And it's a marvellous old hotel, isn't
yes,
it? It is. Let me tell you that I'm here every day. And I am here till about 3 o'clock after we've finished our broadcast and so on and so forth. And Sally and the two girls, Jane and Shannon, look after me extremely well. But it's very interesting to see the people that come through.
Yes.
Some of them come through just for a quick cup of coffee. Some actually come here. They're almost treated like a social centre.
Oh yes, it is, and we've always wanted to promote it as such. That anybody can come and sit as long as they want with a coffee. And we don't want people, because not everybody has a partner, or they're sometimes on their own. And it's a place you can come in on your own and without feeling intimidated, which a lot of places you can't. You feel a bit overwhelmed.
No. This is a lovely, friendly place.
Yeah.
You come in. Anyway, Sally's got to get back. Thanks, Sally. Right. Okay. Here's Mr. Keith. So that was first of all, it was nice to be able to promote the Action Cancer with something that we've done in the past. And it is very nice to see some of the things from the past. Now, a lot of those canvases, a lot of those pictures are still available. And if you want to buy one, unfortunately, Leslie is not well. So you can't get your portrait painted at the moment, I don't think. But it's still worthwhile going down there to take a look at its relationship with the lady artist, Leslie Nora Hills, who paints these things. And there are many famous people that she's painted. She's done Boris. She did the Sussexes. Indeed, the one that I like, right center stage there, is the Mad Vicar of Firle, and he's absolutely superb, great value for money. He's a lovely, lovely man, and is eccentric to say the least. But it's very nice that he's there in the window, and we can remember him. Now, also, it was nice for Annie Verrill to be showcased again. Annie has not been on Mirador for perhaps almost 2 years now, but she was very popular when she was, very talented, as indeed a lot of people do in small-scale television. She's gone on to bigger and better things and realizing her ambitions. But it was good to be reminded of the talent that we have had in the past, and that who knows, as she gets older and needs to stay more at home, perhaps she might come back to us. One can only hope. But certainly, we used to do the very start of the day from the park, Grange Park. And we would fight like cat and dog, and people would say, "Do you really fight? I mean, or just pretense?" Well, I'm not going to tell you. All I can tell you is I got the odd black eye. So anyway, that was a blast from the past. Annie Verrill and Leslie Nora Hills. Action Cancer, which dropped an awful lot of money, and yet there was just the other day there was a breakthrough in cancer research, and that's how important it is. I've got to go to the hospital this afternoon to just have a pre-op check. They're going to lift a cataract from my eye, but one of the things that I notice is that everything is COVID still. COVID. And much as I understand that we have to fight this dreadful disease, there are still those that are equally as dreadful, and cancer is one of them. And get behind any charity that you possibly can, and make sure that you give them all the support that they have had up until now. It is so important. Oh, I've dropped my biscuit. Would you forgive me if I actually go and get my biscuit? I can't have coffee without biscuits. That is one of the manifestations of Parkinson's. Is you do get a bit clumsy. You do knock things around. But anyway, back to the cancer research. Do give it all your support you possibly can. And we are behind you at Mirador. And we would urge you, use the shop, make donations, but contribute to the art world and see if we can start to sell some of those paintings again. It would be a great help to the Action Cancer people. Okie dokie dokie. Where shall we go from here? Well, the story that's creating uproar this morning is that a Tory MP has said, the poor should the poor don't know how to eat food, or what is it he said exactly? Can't cook, won't cook. The Tory said that the poor can't cook. And my thesis is he's too damn true. We got so used to slouching in front of the telly, getting a takeaway, buying a fish and chips, getting hamburgers in, Chinese food. We've forgotten how to, in the main, we've forgotten how to cook. And this is borne out by a chef that we met a couple of years or so ago. We contemplated doing a television series on his book, which would have been very good. His whole theme in the book, in his book of recipes, was the simple things, like a poached egg, scrambled eggs, which he said research has shown that young ladies, particularly, who suddenly are faced with cooking a meal for a potential mother-in-law or whatever, simply don't know, because they've never been taught really how to cook. They don't know how to do it. And so what they need is something where you can throw something together, simple, quick, but tasty and colorful. So in many ways, this Tory MP has put his finger on it. Is part of the problem is going to be, as the economy tightens, as we find it difficult to get enough money together to go out to dinner 5 or 6 days a week, or to buy takeaways or whatever, is we've got to go back to doing it ourselves. And many of us don't know how to cook. They can't cook. So this guy is absolutely right. Of course, is poor starts to become a hot seat word. You can't call people poor anymore. Well, I don't mind being called poor. I'm bloody poor. And if that's what I am, that's what I am. It doesn't help that people try to find other words, say things in a different way, so I don't feel offended. How to hell is I don't mind, as long as I can get to the ultimate goal. Now, it's nice, it's picky, and I'm enjoying it. And let me just put a plug. In a couple of weeks' time, we will have the facility available for you to have your name on this cup. It will be seen throughout our programs. So essentially, it's what's known as product placement advertising. We don't wax lyrical about how good the company is, but over a period of 3 hours, you get your you get your name seen very frequently, talked about, and so on. And we're doing it for a tenner. Right. You can get your name on one of these for an entire program for a tenner, and it's not a bad deal. Of course, there are two things. It may be that you would want to buy it for a week, so that it really does impress itself upon the viewers' minds. But also, it's one of those things that is good about the internet, if you like, because you are able to have this today. It goes into the archives. It goes onto social media. It goes where it can be seen and will be seen, much like the program we just showed you on Action Cancer. Action Research Cancer, Research Cancer UK. And what you can do is, by buying this for a one-off, you've got it sitting there forever, in perpetuity. And therefore, it really makes it a great value for money. And this is an introductory offer for a tenner. You can see, if you're interested, you can see that there is an email at the bottom of the screen, and please contact that email and somebody will get back to you if you want to actually buy the cup. So nice swig of coffee. It is now 10:52, 8 minutes to 11 o'clock on the 12th of May, and 2022 has not been an auspicious year for anything so far. It's going to be classified, I think, as a year of sorrows. There's nothing much that we can say has been a turn on in the first 6 months, even though we're only into the 5th month, but not a great deal. And we hope that it will turn around in the second month, the second of 6 months, the second half, because that's when really we'll be celebrating the Queen's Jubilee. And I think it's impossible and important that we keep an eye on those celebrations and try to lift the mood of the country, keeping us from, pomps to say harm, but keeping us from developing a national sulk, let's put it that way, a national depression. It's very important that we don't wallow in that. Secondly, it's going to be reasonably warm again today. I think it's about 16 or 17 degrees out there. The wind is moderate today. It was very blowy yesterday, but it's moderate today, which makes it a rather nicer day for most things. And the likelihood of rain is not at all in the offing. I think the chances of us getting rain are very, very, very slim. Having said that, we often said that in the past, and what happens is it bloody rains the moment we've said it. Such is weather forecasting, and although it's much closer to a science now, I still can't always get it right for a whole variety of things. Right. So where was I? Yes. Okay. We were talking about Action Cancer, and and how we have supported it in the past, we'll support it in the future, and a look back which it included the delightful Annie Verrill, a very, very talented broadcaster. And I'm surprised that we haven't seen her on national television. But then again, all things are possible, and sometimes these things take a little bit longer than we think. Right, so 10:56, 4 minutes to. I think what we will do is we will take a break with my favorite break. This is one that I prickle whenever I see it. Well, here we are back again. That's Grange Park. Now, one of the things that is coming up, well, there are two things that are coming up to celebrate the Jubilee. One is the rugby club and is involved in getting a five-a-side, or is it seven-a-side? Seven-a-side tournament going, and they matched up with a local folk group so that there's music available, and we're going to have them on next week to tell us everything that's going on. The other thing is, of course, is the Battle of Lewes, and it's amazing still that people are not aware in this town of the importance of the Battle of Lewes. In some instances, they're not even aware that the battle took place. And I have to say, before I came to Lewes, I wasn't aware that the Battle of Lewes either had taken place or its historical significance, because it is considered to be. It is considered to be the battle that sparked English democracy. The barons, led by Simon de Montfort, beat the king because they figured that he was spending their money willy-nilly, their tax money, that he was not behaving in the way that a king should, and that was in fact breaking the terms of the Magna Carta, and basically spending a hell of a lot of money on himself. And so they felt that they should have a bigger say in where their tax dollars went. And they had the battle. Simon won. Parliament convened, the first Parliament convened the very next day in Westminster, where it sits to this day. So that Battle of Lewes was extremely important in the scheme of things, extremely important. And those people that reenact the battle do a pretty fair job. And since much of it actually took place, even though the official battle site is about half a mile or so out of the town proper, much of the action took place in the town. First of all, it took place at the priory. And once again, those who don't know, our priory was pulled down at the dissolution of the monasteries by Henry VIII. but the foundations are left and are reasonably impressive. So that's the Priory, the Priory Park. Why did I start to tell you that? I get lost when I go down into these. Let's tell the story this way. Let's tell the story that way. But the Battle of Lewes was fought between those two proponents, antagonists, and the barons won, and so English democracy started to filter into our psyche in the everyday life of country folk in 1267, 62, 64. There we go. I get it eventually. Anything to do with that is exciting in the extreme. It's very well reenacted normally, and a reminder of just the important contributions that this town has made. All right, we're coming up to 11:02. I do want to play you another program from the past, and it's rather a long one, this, but if you're at all interested in wine, this is the program, and it will be continuing a program on Mirador. This is a program to watch.
Hi there, my name's Fergus. I'm the founder of Camino del Vino, and this is the first episode of Grape to Palate with Lewis Mirador Television. For this first episode, we're talking about the region of Beaujolais, and specifically the grape variety of Gamay. Now, Beaujolais is a region in France. It's located in the southeast of France, and it covers quite a large, extensive area just to the west of the River Saône. Now, Beaujolais is very famous in itself. It's got quite rich history in the winemaking world, and I think it's a really beautiful wine. I think it's really elegant. It's very nice and light and crisp. But to be fair, within this region, it does vary a lot in terms of what you can expect on the palate, which we will go through today. The Gamay variety is, so what's quite unique about Beaujolais is that even though it can produce red, white, and even rosé varieties, red wine is its dominant and what it's most famous for. And it's just really nice, to be fair. I think it's really good. I'm messing this one up big time. Yeah. So the Gamay variety can produce really quite like fragrant and really elegant wines, very light and crisp. Beaujolais is split up in terms of the appellations within the region. So I'd say its most basic region is just known as Beaujolais. Then above that, it goes to Beaujolais villages, and then above that, it goes to Beaujolais cru, where there are about 10 cru appellations which are given the right to use their own name and put it on the wine label itself. Today we have the Beaujolais villages, which is part of my range at caminodelvino.co.uk, but we'll cover everything today, don't worry about it. So we might as well start at the most basic level. We'll start at Beaujolais. Beaujolais, the region, predominantly most of the Beaujolais area of this particular appellation is found to the south and the southwest, just on the west side of the River Seine, basically. So it covers the south and then to the west, but east side of the region, I guess you would say, if you can understand that. And basically, it's quite basic in terms of the flavors you'll get. It's a nice, very light variety, very easy on the tongue. But it's also famous for producing this new wave called Beaujolais Nouveau, which is very interesting. It's sort of a rebellion to what it was in the past of the Beaujolais being associated with quite it went through a period of just not being very nice wine. So Beaujolais Nouveau is this new, exciting, very young and vibrant wine. And Beaujolais Nouveau is quite unique in itself. So it's one of the first, is basically the opening party of the wine season. It always happens on the third Thursday of November. As soon as the clock strikes 1 past midnight, the wine growers can release the Beaujolais Nouveau onto the rest of the world, basically, and everybody can try it. And there's huge parties that go across it, not only in Beaujolais but across the whole world, celebrating the latest vintage and the first vintage of the wine season, basically. And it usually happens about 3 weeks after the vintage has been cut. So it goes through this very quick fermentation process. And it produces a really young, really fresh wine that has a lot of sort of red fruit flavors, and it's just really pleasant. It's a super easy drinking wine. So yeah, that's basically Beaujolais Nouveau. Let's talk about, okay, yeah, cool. What makes it a very young and fresh wine, though, is, like I was saying before, about the fermentation process. The fermentation process is quite classic for Beaujolais Nouveau. It's called carbonic maceration. Now, don't be alarmed. Carbonic maceration might seem quite a scientific word, but it's actually really easy to understand if you listen to me, basically. And so basically carbonic maceration, when they go and harvest the grape variety, they'll put it in an inert vessel, basically, or an inert tank. They don't really want, they'll put all the grapes inside, layer them up on top of one another, and they're looking to not really break any of the skins of the grape, because it's just not done, and that's not where its aim is to be. If you sort of break the skins, you start slowly with the fermentation process, or you start really extracting more tannins from the grapes, and that's not what you want at all, really, with this wine. That's not what the winemaker's going for. So they put all the grapes inside this vessel, they slam a lid on it, they suck out all the oxygen and replace it with CO2, and this causes the fermentation process to start a little bit. And it's quite unique. Beaujolais is very distinctive for this fermentation process itself as well. So basically what the CO2 does is it causes intracellular fermentation, where inside the grape itself, it starts fermenting. So alcohol is starting produced, turning the juices and all the sugars that's gone through the growing season, it started turning into alcohol. And so the reason why, like I was saying before, when you don't want the skins to be broken at all, is because of this particular process itself to protect it. And as soon as it gets to roughly about 2% percentage in alcohol, this process stops. Well, the skins slightly start to split, and that's when the process stops. This process its main purpose, really, is to extract as much colour from it as possible. And like I was saying, it wants very little tannin. So if the skins are broken, tannins start to be extracted from the skins and into the grape, and that is not the purpose of the grape. It wants to be very light, very easy drinking. So as soon as this 2% in alcohol happens from the carbonic maceration, everything stops. The winemaker then presses the wine. It tends to be pressed, and the juices that are created from this are then fermented in later down the line, and then you get a beautiful Beaujolais Nouveau wine. So yeah, I think that covers Beaujolais Nouveau and the region of Beaujolais. Then we'll step up to the appellation of Beaujolais villages. Now, Beaujolais villages, there are 39 villages that are allowed to be use sort of this label Beaujolais villages, and they have a slightly higher quality standard than the other Beaujolais. And basically, a lot of the wines are a blend of the different villages around. So each winemaker will pick their village that they want to pick the grapes from. Then they'll blend it all together and they'll produce a beautiful wine. I have here a wine from Olivier Ravier, who's a very famous wine grower in Beaujolais, and this is a Beaujolais village, and this is an excellent example. And within these, even within this sort of cru appellation, they will still vary a lot in terms of, well, not a lot, but they'll vary in terms of what the sort of flavours that they're given off. For instance, some will have a little bit more structure in the way that the wine is made, and therefore it will be slightly different to the lightness that Beaujolais tends to have. But a lot of them they'll still have their classic sort of flavours of strawberry, and also a little bit, it'll just be really nice. To be fair, it's very nice and easy drinking wine. Some of the wine producers tend to they'll put their wine into like big oak casks, which will impart a slight level of flavour, but that's not the point. Is not to impose a huge amount of sort of oakiness. It's just to add a little bit more refinement, a different level of elegancy than that would help differentiate it from those of a different name within the Beaujolais region. But I think Beaujolais is a fantastic region. I think it's just a really nice, elegant wine. It's very light. It's particularly suited for if you're looking for Asian food, if you're after that, and you really want to have a red wine, this is a great pairing for it. It's not going to fight against any of the flavors that you would expect in the Asian food. It's never going to overpower anything. So I think you really like it. For me, it's one of my favorites. So I hope you like it too. Bye, guys.
So there we are, Fergus Wood, who will be a regular feature on our new programs emanating from the White Hart Hotel in Lewes. And the young man is very knowledgeable. He's been with Mirador for a couple of years now. And we welcome him back to be able to give us a hint and a tip. One of our mob, if you like, has said, why not get him to show how to mix cocktails, because cocktails are very much on the way back. Whether he's capable of doing that, I don't know. I haven't broached it to him. But it's one of the things that we think might be helpful to you, is how to, what sort of cocktails are, what indeed cocktails are in themselves. So we have got that covered for you, and try hard to be good boys and girls. Right, we are now facing 13 minutes past 11. A wind down to somewhere around 11:30. I will do a little roundup of what's going on, so you can make up your own mind. And then perhaps it may well be that there's somebody else who would prefer to stay, or at least not rock the boat. The papers, the big one that is causing all this stink is, as usual, the purists are going to it. Some Tory politician has said the poor can't cook, and he was reacting to the cost of living and what we can afford and what we can't afford. But he's right. The poor can't cook. And what that newspaper, which is what the Daily Mirror says, it doesn't actually follow up with looking at people who may be able to create something a little different in terms of both TV programs, but also in drinking soirees, in as much as we need somebody to help us relearn how to cook. Now, that is my view, and everybody's entitled to their viewpoint, but I think that if we actually don't keep an eye on what's happening in Ukraine, that we are putting ourselves in a vulnerable position, and we need to know on a day-to-day basis what is being said. And one of the headlines, which we'll show you in a moment, is that Rishi Sunak has said we will fight with the Swedes and the Finns if bellicose Russia has a go at closing it down. So that's true, right? Can't talk, cook, won't cook. That's the Metro, the London paper. The I, which is a condensed news version of all the papers. The Tories are split over the cost of living plan. That's whether, in fact, to try to balance the book and get some money back, and also to get us on side, because what they're talking about there is a column, a little program, I suppose, is coming into vogue, where the cost of living is going to mean that we all, and that's all, have to tighten their belts. And some people are getting iffy because that is their perception. Is only poor people do that, right? Well, I'll tell you, I'm no screaming hell when it comes to poverty, but I actually have gone to not Morrison's, who have just bought that chain. Instead, let's see. It's gone out of my mind. But nonetheless, we are going to have plenty of activity, if you like, throughout the summer. And food and wine is going to be a key part of it. You can tell I'm getting tired, but I've wanged it through to the end, and we have only got 6 minutes more to pay to put up with me. The cost of living plan is where the controversial bit is that he wants to pay a windfall tax to keep us going throughout however long this latest epidemic is going to be, and in doing so, he's got to make sure that he is going to have a windfall tax. In other words, a lot of the energy companies made gross profits, and it's time that some of that went back into the pockets of citizens. I don't think it will make any difference to you and I. We won't notice that much difference from this money. But what will happen is it will help to stabilize the economy. That fears that the country might go bust, or fears that people are being shortchanged, will actually disappear. Right. Okay. The Daily Mail. Now Rishi warms to the energy windfall tax plan. The Daily Express. Desperate cry for help, which we cannot ignore. And the cost of living rises are the individuals who have fallen on hard time is how some of this money will be spent, and quite rightly so. The big problem with this, of course, is that how much was mismanagement, how much is actually conning yourself and everybody else around you that this is a situation when it's not. So, generally speaking, a windfall tax, I would have thought, is pretty bad, and trying hard to implement some of the initiatives that are ready to come out after the Queen's speech yesterday, and the people are willing to do that. Yes, I tend to be less clear as we get around to the witching hour. It's another 7 minutes, and I'm not going to thrash it. I think one thing we'll just do is we'll since this is not a serious part of the program, let's just see Stuart Dolby, and Nita Anderson. Oh, Peterson, rather, sorry.
And I'm here at the Star Brewery Gallery in Lewes. Shortly I shall be talking to Nita Peterson, who runs the gallery and is also an artist herself. Nita, you're having an exhibition in January, or which is going into February, which is rather unusual, isn't it?
Usually the gallery's closed in January because it's just not worth putting an exhibition on.
Yeah.
And I was meant to have 2 artists doing drawing lessons in here, but due to COVID it got cancelled.
Yeah.
So I was doing all the admin work in here, and I had people coming in just looking at empty walls. So I thought, well, I might as well put some of my own work on the walls, which I did.
Oh, wonderful. Just for people who are watching, Nita's exhibition runs till February 6th. If you can get round, it really is worth watching, I can tell you.
No, so by the way, I have decided to extend the exhibition for another week, as I'll be open Wednesday till Saturday next week. But it'll be good if people check the websites for details.
Nita, you called it My Creative World, and when we went on, you talked about the range of your artistic endeavourment. I mean, there were cushions, scarves, pillows, sculptures, prints, and everything. So you have a terrific range, and you have got a great following, and you've been in galleries around the world and so forth and so on, and you've got an international reputation. So let's go back to the start. You were born in Bombay, and you lived in Denmark for many years. Were you happy there? Did you have any creative feelings there? Did you write books, scribble in books, or what?
I started drawing at a very early age.
Yes.
I always enjoyed drawing, and my dream as a child was to become an animator.
Really? Yes.
Which I then did in the end.
Yeah.
But I don't animate so much anymore, occasionally, but it's more the art that I focus on.
Okay, you left home when you were 17
Yes.
to travel. You went to Israel and then to India and Nepal and other places. Well, I know a lot of us teenagers have travel bugs. But was that to investigate your roots, or was it an artistic voyage, learning about cultures?
Yeah, Israel, I suppose, I was 17 when I went to Israel, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I thought I need to go and explore a little bit of the world and maybe get to know myself through travels. So Israel was more just to sort of try and get, just experience something new and different. But India and Nepal was definitely to find out about my roots and the culture of where I came from.
I see. And then after that, you travelled widely, and then you actually, in 1997, came to Lewes.
I did.
Now, I always ask people this, how come, with your wild experience and so on, that you came to a small county town in southern England, beautiful and it is. Why did you choose Lewes?
Well, I joined this Danish educational program for people who didn't go to college. So they sort of allowed me to construct my own studies, and it was like a 3 years long course.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go to San Francisco and study film, which they said was fine, but I had to come to Lewes first and study for 3 months at Lewes Tertiary College, just English, which I did, but I ended up loving it so much that I went to Brighton College of Technology, but then later on I went to New York Film Academy instead of San Francisco.
Yeah, I was coming to that, and next thing off you went to San Francisco and so on. It's been said about you that in your remarkable career, your real life experience, in fact, had a big effect on yourself as an artist. What does that mean exactly?
Well, my artwork for me is very personal, and if you look at the stuff I have in here now with the prints and also Well, I suppose maybe some of the bag where I've used some of the illustrations from my artwork printed onto my bags and my scarves. Half of the exhibition is about, I suppose, women and power and women's sort of respect and love for themselves. And the other part of the exhibition is based on my dad, on a book I'm writing about my dad's death, because he died twice, and in between, I mean, prior to his death, in between him first dying and then finally dying again, I did a lot of illustration work, a lot of writing, doing that, and some of that in the exhibition is influenced by that.
But in 1997, you went off to New York. That was to do your film making, was it?
Yes.
But you did come back to Lewis, so
I did.
You didn't have abandoned it altogether. And then you went up to Westminster to get a further degree and a very successful graduation film, didn't you?
Yes.
But you still came back to Lewis.
I know. I don't know what there's just something about Lewis I love.
Yeah.
I love living here. It's got a magical energy.
There's a lot of creative energy here, isn't there?
There is.
Yeah. But then again, there was the Westminster Eloque. But then, so in what ways, again, can I ask you, why have these travels and these different experiences impacted on your art? How have they sort of helped your art or encouraged it or whatever?
Well, I suppose it's helped me because through my travels I have learned a lot about people, I've learned a lot about myself, and I've found myself, and my artwork is all about my experiences, my feelings, and my life.
Right. Okay, so February last year, you became the owner and a director, with a little bit of help from your friends, I have to say. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And you've been running very successfully a series of exhibitions of local. You must feel very proud.
I am. Yeah. It's been a great. Been a great journey, and I've got lots more exciting exhibitions coming up in 2022.
It's been so very good talking to you, Nita.
To you, Stuart.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is Stuart Dorby for Mirador Television.
Well, that's it. It's 11:28, and we have spent a morning bringing bits and pieces to you. I hope some of you found useful and helpful. This is Mirador Television out of Lewis, and we are on the air from 8:30 to 11:30 each day. And we encourage people to drop in and express their point of view. You just walk in. We broadcast from the heart of Lewis, right in the front of the White Hart Hotel in Lewis, and that's Mirador Television. And we are designed so that if you come in, you'll be engaged in conversation. Some people don't like it, but others are able to be very articulate and share their thoughts with us. So that's it for today. We will be back tomorrow morning with a similar fare. I hope you'll join us then, and I hope that you'll join us, those people who really simply want to help get us out of the current dreadful problems that we're in, but also are willing to make a little contribution via this television station to try and lighten the load from some of their fellow citizens. So here we go. It's 11:30, bang on the nose.